think what is very important, right now it's coming out how the Department of Defense, for example, was in charge of the COVID-19 entire pandemic, actually,
That's right.
and so to really realize, from the research that we've done with what is in these vials and uncovering that, because nobody really knows, because it's a complete secrecy, exactly like you're saying, deceptive and lying, and that what I found, through reading your books and then talking with Clifford Carnicombe, is that the chemical composition of some of what is in the vaccine vials, including hydrogel and nanotechnology and the metals, that is actually equivalent to what's been sprayed on people, this weather warfare thing that a lot of people think, oh, these are just trails in the sky. But that literally artificially the world population has been made sick by their governments, and that they are literally spraying things like nanoparticulate metals, like nanotechnology that's already part of this transhumanism aspect. And so what I would like for you to do, can you give us some overview on the geoengineering and what actually is what does it mean that it is the main infrastructure of the Internet of Things and the transhumanism, and how does that work?
When we think of geoengineering, because of the press and the media, which is all corporate run and pretty much taken over by a sort of turn of mind that is obviously into manipulating people and not enlightening people, we hear the story that it's simply about the weather. It's about carbons. It's about climate change. It's about global warming. All these buzzwords, these memes that get out there, and then it's sort of case closed. It's something's being done because there was a conference in 2015, and now nations are being blackmailed into paying all kinds of money because of their carbons, and so we move on to the next subject. What geoengineering really is, when you examine it in detail, as I have been doing for about 13 years, it is an all-encompassing full spectrum dominance philosophy about planet Earth and about what it means to be gods on the planet and to run the planet as you see fit. This is the global elite dream, and it's our nightmare. We've been suffering this nightmare for thousands of years, truthfully, but it looks to me like, at least now, it's coming to a head. When I discovered the nanotechnology part, and that's, as you already know, that revolution happened very quietly by the 1990s.
That's
it was
incredible.
Done.
By the 1990s.
Yes, it was done. The Eric Drexler, who is the actual discoverer of nanotechnology, because we've always had nanoparticles. We have nanoparticles in space. We have space dust. We have a lot of tiny everything down here. It's dusty. It's dirty. Whatever. But the real discovery that you could create a technology on the atomic level was, Eric is the one in grad school who figured that out. But then he even says, and I don't know if it's apocryphal or true, but he says that he waited a long time because he realized that nanotechnology is also a biophage. And that means that it eats life, that you could set this nanotechnology the task, if you program it, to completely devour the organic world. And for this one, I want to quote Klaus Schwab's right-hand man, Yuval Harari, because I couldn't believe it. He said it. He said it perfectly. He said that we should get used to not just his quote about forget free will, forget spirit, forget the soul, forget all that nonsense. No, the thing that got me was when he said, now a new type of surveillance it will be operant under the skin. And that is the key, is the nanotechnology that we've breathed in now for a decade and a half from the very quiet geoengineering program. So that's the neural manipulation, that's mind control. They can run your mind, your brain, which they're not the same. And I now have, I think, pretty much clear evidence that they can run the soul as well. So we're really in deep now, my friends. The entire atmosphere is ionized now, which means it's entirely electrified, and that many plasma, particularly plasma experiments, are going on in our atmosphere. There will be many fairy tales and myths told in the controlled media in order to cover over what's really going on. And so, let's just prepare ourselves that we're living sort of in a chemical vat now. So now, when Steiner said 100 years ago that a vaccine would be invented that would, that once administered, that person would no longer think of spiritual things. And I think that's where we are, and it's very serious. And I've pulled out the stops. I have no personal life. I don't care about my personal life. I devote all time to this, to awaken humanity to the fact that being human for granted is something that we can no longer do.
I absolutely agree with you, and that's where I myself have pulled out all the stuff, because once I realized that this is not just another vaccine, but the ramifications for the human species are phenomenal, and then the responsibility of each of us that we have as a future forward, a suggestion, okay, what does humanity look like 100 years from now, 5,000 years from now? And the idea that, we are divine spiritual being, we are amazing, the light within us is amazing, our creativity, we are creators, in the observation of our thoughts. And so I think that a lot of people do not understand the context of this operation, and that there has been a war on humanity and the divine human for a long time. And that's part of also why what we're seeing now is such an apathy, such a lack of engagement on many levels. It's like, where are people? Where's the outrage? We've had stolen elections and all kinds of things. And we have more people dead from the shots than people of World War II almost. And yet, people are unwilling to see it. And you can only explain it. There are people who explain it through mass psychosis and things like that, but they don't understand the nanotechnology component of it, and that there might be what I've seen personally as a physician. I've been a doctor for 22 years, and I've seen an accelerated aging process.
Yeah.
And a decline in cognitive function, even in young people in their 30s and 40s, specifically when this COVID pandemic started, even in the unvaccinated. The ability to cognitively put thought together, to study, and then the other thing is a war on life force, because what we call chronic fatigue, when I do medical testing in my office of the autonomic nervous system and of the brain, I see that there's a lack of voltage, so what's called low mitochondrial function. But in the sense of who we are, a spiritual being, it means that we don't have juice in our batteries when we're 30 years young. This is unbelievable. There is something feeding off of the life force or destroying it or poisoning it. And so this nanotechnology that we found in the vials that appearing and disappearing, that is frequency responsive, and you can have these Morgellon-like fibers which are hydrogel based, grow in a very short amount of time, in minutes, when they're exposed to an electrical or frequency field. That's very, very concerning for the human species. We're in the middle of a mass depopulation event, a genocidal event, plus the engineering of the human species that is left. And in my view, it is incorrect to say that only the injected are affected, because I'm now seeing blood changes in the uninjected, because this stuff has been either been shedding or it's been inhaled, or there's so much in it in the food supply. We're getting it from every which way, and I see all humans struggling regardless of whether or not they got injected.